Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Each episode we talk about a particular movie, and we'll get to today's episode in a little bit. But first, if you want to add a movie to the fan vote, those happen during today's episode. The new stuff gets put on to the next vote, so you still have a lot of time to do that. We just need more. It's just how it kind of goes. And sometimes if you make it onto the podcast, you can just recommend one while you're here talking to us and I'll write it down. Or you can go over to the Discord and talk in the movie stuff section and write a recommendation there. Or most easily, you can go to the comments, whether it be on Spotify or YouTube or wherever, and type in your recommendation and we'll add it to the list. Also, there's the old archaic way of sending us an email at ff.filmfreaks at gmail.com. But who uses that other than old people? Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves before we get talking about the movie. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm here with...
Greedy Waffles.
Animation.
Ray of Positivity.
And a special guest, Topos, is back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Topos, for the third time.
Yeah. It's my very first episode with this cast of characters, except for Spinal Tap, which was the previous episode that I did that had this exact cast of characters.
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy. No one was missing from that episode, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And it's also, we're all here for this one, too.
It's incredible.
True.
It's a rare
For
occurrence.
the final time.
That's right. Today is Greedy Waffles' last episode. And we'll of course talk about our favorite Greedy moments and give them our fond farewells at the end of the show. But let's live in the moment. Let's live in the moment here, and we'll talk about the movie first. Get all that stuff out, and then we'll have a nice cry at the end of the podcast. Sound good?
Yeah.
I got my tissues ready.
Yes.
All right,
I do
Topos.
too, but for a different reason.
Oh.
Oh.
Ayo.
I was going to say I got my lotion, but...
Wow.
We can run it again if you want to do your version of the gross joke, Greedy. It is your last episode.
No, it's a...
Topos will bow out and say, Greedy, you can have the cum joke. How honorable. But Topos, you did recommend this episode's movie. What'd you got for us?
Well, this episode's movie is The Fifth Element. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but Fifth Element. It is an early 90s sci-fi film that I like a whole lot of things about it, and I think that there are some fun and interesting things to talk about. One of my specialties is like that I went to school for. I don't recommend going to school for this particular specialty, but I did, and here's me using my degree. But it's narrative, and this movie has an absolutely fascinating narrative. The main hero and the main villain never meet.
That's true.
Not once.
That's true.
Yeah.
They almost did.
There's a single, like, Gary Oldman looks at an elevator that Bruce Willis has just pushed the closed door button on, but that's as close as they get. And I think that's fascinating because in a lot of ways this is a very archetypal plot. It's literally about like good versus evil, but the good never actually meets the evil. So it's one of those things.
It's a heavy MacGuffin
looks...
movie, too. Lots of MacGuffins in there. I mean, there's 5 of them. 5 MacGuffins.
There are 5 MacGuffins. Yeah, and it's beautiful. I think the movie is beautiful.
You know, Topaz, 5 MacGuffins reminds me of the 5 Infinity Stones from Marvel's Avengers.
You could have held out. You could have held out for 20 minutes if you had wanted to.
I could have, but I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I love Yemmy for that. That was awesome.
uh,
GG's.
listeners,
GG's.
yeah, listeners, we made a small joke in the pre-recording session. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to hear those.
I wish.
Was that a good plug?
No, we don't have a Patreon. I wish though that it would be very fun to just like press record whenever we all get into the call and just upload that unedited footage onto Patreon and be like, okay, here's your bonus. It's our pre-ramble.
The lowest effort possible. Anyway, in the pre-ramble, there were some instructions on the introductions. Mostly it was, Topos, I know you love to talk. Shut the... Can we curse on this podcast?
Fuck no.
Shut the F up until you get introduced. And I said, do we want to plan out any of the rest of the episode? And Yemmy said, well, yes, we would like to bring up Marvel at minute 20. And then, what was the other movie?
Blade Runner, minute 30.
Blade Runner. That's right.
Or 40, because 30 we
Yeah.
go back to the pot, we get back to the movie, and then we switch gears 40 minutes in.
That's right. Anyway, Yemmy couldn't hold out for 20 minutes to make it.
I couldn't.
to make it good.
It was building up, and I found the perfect opportune moment for it.
5
Yep.
MacGuffins. And then we're back.
Tay's desperately dragging us back on the rails. Tay, what if we don't want to talk about the movie? What if we don't just want to sit here and chat for 2 hours?
Whatever, fine, we could do that.
Yeah, why don't we? What other movies have 5 MacGuffins?
Huh. Well, I mean, we obviously Marvel, Infinity War.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's it.
Uh-huh.
I can't think of any others.
That sums it up.
There's the link, the missing link right there.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
anyway,
tough to call it 5 MacGuffins. They don't, because all of the stones are together the entire movie, right? That's one MacGuffin.
yeah, they're all together inside of one body.
Yeah.
The most bizarre scene in the movie is him pulling 5 or 4 stones out of an alien's body.
That's the most bizarre scene of the movie.
Well, also, you're right. There's probably a more bizarre scene, but that was the one that stuck with me after I had finished watching. I was like, he just like bare-fisted went into that alien's stomach and grabbed the stones, didn't he?
Do you know what it reminded me of? What's that fashion movie?
Zoolander?
Zoolander. The files are in the computer. The stones are in me. Only it was actually true. It was,
Yeah, it was
literal.
very literal. Yeah. There's a
It
few
wasn't a
literal
metaphor.
things that you feel like they could have maybe done a metaphor for, but they were like, you need to, activate the 5th element with love. And what does Bruce Willis do? He kisses the 5th element.
Maybe the 5th element was the sexual assault we did along the way.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. That's right.
That is a scene that really was. I don't know how other people look past some of this stuff that happens in this movie, but that scene where he just like, wake her up gently. It's like your first thought is kissing her. Like, this isn't Sleeping Beauty here, buddy. I don't know. I would gently shake her before
Yeah.
kissing.
Or say something.
I would probably, maybe tap their hand a little bit or something. I don't know.
That's the kind of scene that makes you look up the director's Wikipedia page, scroll about halfway down, and then make a bit of a face.
Yeah, that kind of leads into one of the things that I want to talk about too, where the director thought of the plot for this movie when he was 15. Ironically, or maybe not ironically, when he was like 30, he was like dating a 15-year-old.
Gross.
So, yeah.
That's not, to me, that is one of the many ways that Luc Besson is weird and bad. He did have some, he had a straight up rape allegation, which he was cleared of for lack of evidence, and then a whole bunch of sexual assault allegations as well. And it's like, look, innocent until proven guilty. But if there's a S on the word allegations, I'm raising my eyebrows, you know?
Yeah, you don't get the
Yeah.
20 without something actually going on. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
I looked that up after the movie, so I didn't watch the movie with that in mind, but it was a bit odd having the main character kind of run around acting like a child, and then Bruce Willis being like, what, 30 something years old, and immediately being like head over heels for her. And I understand, like, oh, it's the perfect human, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but she's still like has a child's brain essentially. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
Well, yeah. I knew there was an age discrepancy. That's the word. In there. I just looked it up. He is 20 years older than her.
Woo-wee.
Ugh.
Yeah, because she
Bruce
was
Willis?
19 when they filmed this. Yeah, and Bruce Willis is 20 years older. Oh, that means he was 39. She was 19.
Yep.
y'all ever think that maybe Hollywood's a little bit fucked up?
No,
No.
never.
No.
No.
They would not.
Never.
I never thought of that for 1 second.
It seems like maybe that industry could use a little bit of a good hard look at itself.
I don't know why you'd ever think that.
Yeah, I guess to loop this around to something positive, I think that the vibes of the movie are on point in like the world building aspects. And also, I was really enjoying the soundtrack too. It really did remind me of like Mass Effect or something like that. Very synth heavy and whatnot. So I thought that like the world design was good, and that was like the main thing that I enjoyed about the movie was the various like character design and locations that they went to and how they kind of
And the-
worked.
That's the reason why this movie is one of my favorites. It's the reason why I suggested it. Like all of the other stuff notwithstanding, if you turn this movie into a like slideshow, and stuck up a bunch of the scenes around an art gallery, I think that like it would be worth it. The sets were all cohesive. They all were thematic. They like gave you an idea of like this New York City in the year 2300 is just as dirty and grimy as like New York City in 1970, including the corrupt cops and stuff. But like you can actually feel it, and you can feel how it connected throughout time to the present day. You can feel Fhloston Paradise. Like I asked Tay this while we were watching it, and the opera scene was filmed in like the London Opera Hall, which just 100% makes sense for a like luxury cruise ship to have on board. There was a vision, and they achieved that vision in terms of like the pure visuals. I think that is something that a lot of movies try for but don't quite get.
Yeah. And case in point, like a later movie that the same director would direct, which is Valerian,
Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Yeah.
I wanted to compare these two movies.
the
I'm glad
vibes
you
on that
brought it up,
one
Yemmy.
completely off, and not. I mean, it doesn't even look as good as this movie does. Like I feel like
Right.
if you compare the two movies, obviously it's kind of like the prequels, Star Wars prequels, like
Yes,
too much
I made
green
that
screen
comment.
kind of going on. And
Well,
you watch the
Topos
fifth.
like
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Jeff. So Topos, you pulled up just a random scene from it to show it to me, and I looked at it and was like, "Why do those aliens look like they are basically the same quality as Jar Jar Binks that was made in '97?"
This movie, yeah, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets was made in like 2018 or something. It is wild because when it comes down to it, they are both like sci-fi movies that rely heavily on the visuals and the ideas like that are communicated by the world building of the like filmmaking, of the set design, of the costumes, of the like the quirks of the actors. And Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets just falls flat on its face. It doesn't do anything. Like, it's barely memorable at all.
Right.
It's fascinating.
It tried to do so much, and it took a lot from the source material, but it didn't like. There's something to be said about the simplicity of the story of The Fifth Element compared to something like Valraven. What's the movie called?
Valerian.
Valerian. There's something to be said about how like a simple story can lead the way above like a more complex story. Because like The Fifth Element, I mean, the story one it doesn't really get going until like halfway through the movie, but two, it's a pretty straightforward. Like we need the 4 stones. We have the girl who is the 5th element, and we just need to get them all together and save the world. Like that's a pretty basic plot, all things considered. Then you go over to the Valerian, and they just tried to do way too much with it, and it's also not helped by the fact that it looks very fake and not lived in. Like like Topos said, you feel the grime of the 5th element. You're doing that taxi scene where it's like, Bruce Willis is racing around and doing all these dive moves and stuff like that, and it feels real. Maybe not real, but it feels good and it looks good, and you can, like, when he goes through the fog and stuff like that, it just feels lived in. It feels like it's been around for quite some time, which is
something
nice.
as simple as like after Milu Multipass jumps out of the chamber and crawls through the air ducts. Her hands are dirty, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a small thing, but like her palms are filthy, and that is, like, of course they are. Of course they would be, but what that communicates, I think, is pretty phenomenal. I don't know if I agree that the plot of the plot of The Fifth Element is simple. I think that it's so much more competently communicated that it can seem simple. But if you like step back and look at it, you've got multiple different factors. You've got the Mondachi ones. You've got the orc jerks who are like an oppressed class in human space. The suggestion of an entire universe beyond what's going on in that like single area, but the stakes are high enough that it affects the whole universe. The political tensions between like the president and military, and then the power of corporatism is in there with the Zorg Industries controlling the New York police, and firing taxi drivers and stuff like that. There's a lot going on beyond just like get the girl, get the stones, save the universe, I think. But I don't know. That might just be me fiending for the movie, like fanboying perhaps too hard.
Yeah, we all get one where we can defend with our lives,
This is number 3 for me though, is the problem.
Well, all right, we all get 3 at least. 3 at least.
Okay, all right. Although I will say I did not fanboy that hard about Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I felt like the movie was really dragging its feet for quite some time.
Yes.
And I just felt like the plot really didn't get going until it was well into it that I felt like things started to get going. And by the time that they added in the Ruby character, I was kind of over it at that point, which is unfortunate to say because I do love sci-fi, and like I said, I love the aesthetic of this movie, and I love the set design and stuff like that. But I could just not get into what they were trying to present with the story and stuff like that, which maybe is why I saw it as just a very simple plot, just because I wasn't really getting sucked into the universe and into the various lore of the universe. Like I felt like it kind of started on a weak note and it really didn't recover until boy, I don't even know, probably around the point where they got to that cruise liner spaceship that I really start to even begin to take interest in it. So I'm sorry that this is your number 3 movie, but I will say that I was not very much into the plot of the movie.
Well, Yummy, it really opens up on the 8th or 9th watch. I think that if you gave it the chance,
Oh, it's one of those. You know, it's like the game doesn't get good until you're about 100 hours in, right?
I can definitely see how you feel that way. I do see that. How about you, Ray? Greedy? Got any thoughts on what was this movie too slow to start?
Yeah, it was pretty slow. I was actually kind of bored with watching this. Not just kind of. I was actually very bored watching it.
I had my moments. It was up and down for me because like I don't hate slow starts to movies or books for that matter. Like that, like it's not that bad, but it's just not my type of movie. So I'm appreciating for what it is to other people, which is what I do a lot on this podcast.
Ooh,
like,
shade.
Overall, no, it's no shade at all. It's just a personal preference. And I feel bad for saying that, but it's just my truth. I had a problem. I guess like I don't know the budget of this movie, but just a lot of it, I was like, wow, like even for 97, they could have done a lot better on some of the practical effects and makeup and action sequences.
I'll co-sign that because I felt like the costume design was bad in this.
Yes.
One. I mean, I know it's kind of become a sleeper kind of hit kind of thing where people like there's a niche group of people who love the outfit of Lebo and Bruce Willis and stuff, but I mean, I co-sign at least some of what you said because I just feel like the costume design was really holding it back as well for me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
like Chris Tucker's skin tight leopard print suit, or Baby Ray's sexy as hell white mesh top with the Mr. Magoo hairstyle.
You're right. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You didn't like the see-through vinyl skirt on one of the one of Agnotz's sub-lieutenants?
See, you're saying it sounds like you're speaking a different language because you're saying things that I don't even remember the name of.
Right?
Like, who's lieutenant? What?
All right,
nutty English.
The orc jerks, the ones who could shape change, right?
Yeah, I remember the scene you're talking about. There's a clear shot of the see-through like neon skirt. And there's like fishnets underneath with like a thong on.
Like a poker visor that went all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the one part that really took me out of it for the costume design was that blue alien with the rocks inside of her. Because like you see like the front of her and it's like, okay, I mean it's fine. It's a lot of blue. Callus would love it. But you look at the back and the cheapness of like the tube sticking out of her just was very apparent. I could have sworn that you could see like the barcode on one of them from like the buying it from Home Depot or something. And,
my issue is like the makeup, like you can see where it connects on her face too, like while she's singing.
It wasn't like blended properly. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or like it was starting to separate, and I think it was because she was sweating.
Yeah, moving around. They gave her a lot of movement for how much stuff she had on there.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what platform did you folks watch this on?
I watched the UHD version on Amazon Prime.
I don't know
or
what
UMD,
kind, but on
I watched it on YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Huh. I think that so the movie was originally made in standard definition, which it's a weak defense, but I think it is a defense in the sense that, like, if you're applying makeup expecting standard definition and the 4K remaster comes out 20 years later, that makeup job is not going to hold up.
I don't know, because
Yeah,
like
I feel like
I was gonna give it that benefit of the doubt too, but like Star Wars, hello, like even back in the 70s, it with high def, it still like holds up.
Yeah, I felt like we've watched a couple of movies recently that have a lot of makeup in the costume department, and I think we all were saying like, yeah, the practical stuff with the costumes are really good. Like, I think the most like recent one was like The Mummy, with some of the practical stuff in there was like really well done.
I guess where they spend the budget, like,
and like that's no shade to the costume designers. Like,
No.
I think that they worked with what they had, and I think for the most part they did a decent job at least. But some of those outfits were just like the fucking clear thing on top of Gary Oldman's head was so distracting. I hated it. I hated it so much. Never have I hated a costume design so much as that clear, like, whatever that was on his forehead. Like, take that off. Come on. And I was trying to like think of it too, like in the world. Like, okay, how is this in the world? Like the cigarette thing where it's like mostly filter, I can kind of understand, right? But
I liked that.
But the clear part on top of Gary, I could not place it in my head as to any logical reason as to why it would be there, other than the director was like, "Oh, that'd be kind of cool, sci-fi." Like with Guardians of the Galaxy, the costume design. Nah,
damn it!
There we go again.
Did you set a timer? That was almost exactly 20 minutes.
I wrote a note.
Yeah. You cannot say, "Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy didn't have any stuff that was just sci-fi for sci-fi's sake."
I think that whole movie is sci-fi for sci-fi's sake, honestly.
I think so too. Yeah.
But that's also part of the reason why I love that movie. And everything that they show in the Guardians of the Galaxy, it makes sense in the universe. Whereas with this, like even like let's compare it to something closer, which is Blade Runner. I feel like Blade Runner, in a lot of ways, both the sequel and the original movie, the world feels connected. Everything that they show, like that the main characters are doing, and the various different things that they are holding, and whatever else they do, it all works in that universe. Whereas that fucking clear thing on Gary Oldman's head just takes me out of it every time I fucking look at it. Like, you just look at a screenshot of this fucking thing, it's like, what the hell are they doing here? Like, it doesn't even make sense. And what the heck was the rubber thing around the Lebo or whatever? Like this rubber, like, I don't know even what to call it, leotard type thing? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like that. Like,
I think the correct term is a Borat mankini.
Ah, yes.
Pretty sure.
Yes. Very nice.
I want to push back a little bit because so there's a scene where they're refueling the spaceship and like flamethrowering the parasites. And they open up the fuel door of the spaceship and they pull out this prop, this like radioactive rod that is glowing very faintly, and then they slot in a radioactive rod that's glowing very brightly. It's like, it's clear that there was some thought put into the movie about how the world itself works. And that, I mean, that's true in like a couple of different places, but that one sticks out to me quite a bit. And it might not have like hit as hard until maybe as I said, 12th or 13th watch. But I do think that there was an effort made, at least.
Well, I don't think it's that there was no effort. It's the costumes that, like, someone was like, well, it's got to be futuristic. What's futuristic? Rubber and transparency.
And bright colors, bright white, bright orange,
yes.
bright green. Maybe it's just because I like the drab and darkness of the Blade Runner aesthetic, and a lot of other games and media that I enjoy in the sci-fi universe is very drab and dry. But then again, too, like the Mass Effect trilogy is one of my favorite things in gaming, and that is a very bright game at times. And there's literally a whole race of blue characters, so it's just a weird thing. Maybe it's just something with the Fifth Element that just doesn't mesh with me with the everything working together. But that's just where I stand.
So
Yeah.
again, I do think in a lot of ways the costume design, and this is back in 1997, so like keep in mind the time. Low-rise pants and whale tails were all the rage. The costume design in The Fifth Element is a response to the drab designs that went with a lot of the sci-fi of the time as well. If you look at like Star Wars' costume design, it is pretty conservative. There are out there things like Padme Amidala's hairstyles, but like Star Wars isn't known for its bright colors and in its clothing. The Jedi wear brown robes, the Sith wear black robes, the stormtroopers are all in white. Like, looking at that and going, I'm going to make some absolutely buck wild decisions in my movie will make it so that you wind up with a bright orange rubber mankini on your, on your MacGuffin.
I see, but the thing is, like, George Lucas tried to overcorrect a lot of what you're talking about. Like, if you look at Naboo in Episode 1, very colorful. Same thing for Episode 2. Episode 3 also had a lot more color to it as well. Not the original trilogy. You can think of Endor, like the lush green forest, very different for most of the time with Star Wars too. Like, there was definitely some aesthetic choices that changed while the series went on, and obviously he overcorrected with the prequels. Like I said, like there was way, like, maybe too much going on with the costume design and the overabundance of colors, like very loud colors,
And Amidala's weird hairstyles.
yeah, exactly. But I think that you do have a point about the like original trilogy, because it is a bit of a mute tone palette for it. But I would still watch any of the original trilogy movies over this one again. And I think that's mostly because I don't think the costume design is my biggest issue with The Fifth Element. It's just something that bugged me during my time watching it.
I can see that. I do disagree. I think that the wildness of the costume design lends strengthens the movie rather than takes away from it. But that being said, like, it does 100% look goofy. The Manda Chiwin's showing up in the very first like a couple of minutes, and it's this freaking almost homage to the like 50s B movies of the bright lights and then the slowly lowering thing. And instead of cool aliens, you get these like these big fat waddling turtle guys. I thought that was a good moment, but
yeah, it reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because there's a bunch of like fat aliens in that one too.
I said the same thing as we were watching it. I said the wrong name, but I said it.
The Vogons.
Yeah. I said Gorgon.
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough, exactly.
As Greedy would say, same difference.
You get me.
Yeah.
It's so sad that Greedy's not here anymore to let us know.
Anymore? I'm not here anymore. What? I'm here right now.
I can still. Yeah, sometimes I still.
I
hear
was
his
like,
voice.
what? Did he take me out or something? Oh.
Wait, you guys, I keep hearing something. Kind of sound like Greedy for a second.
It's a ghost.
Ghost of Greedy. I don't know.
Let me steer towards something positive again that I liked about the movie. And I think that the climactic battle scene where they're inside the cruiser, whatever you want to call it, and the it's just like a big action scene where it starts off in the opera and everything kind of goes to hell with the aliens coming in and shooting the place up. And then the action scene ensuing after that is just, I thought it was really well done. Like, not only the like martial arts aspect of it when Mia Jovovich is fighting hand to hand with the alien guys, but also the firefight that Die Hard-esque firefight that Bruce Willis is in during the movie too. I thought that the choreography there and the action was stellar, and it actually added a point for me for this movie. So I really thought that was a nice climactic like crescendo to the movie. There was that big action scene towards the end.
I did like, yeah, I liked the action scene too. I do want to ask, do you guys think that Bruce Willis just knew that Chris Tucker would take a very long time counting to 10? Or do you think that he misdid that timer on the grenade?
I wondered that.
I'm gonna
I
go
think he
with your first thing there.
Yeah, mistimed.
No, the first one was
He knew that
Ruby was
Ruby
gonna
Rod.
be slow on that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he figured maybe Ruby Rod couldn't remember the number 7 for a while, So he set it for 20 seconds and said count to 10.
Yeah. I will say the one thing I didn't love about the action scene, or most of it was really good, was the constant screaming from Ruby.
Yeah.
It just seemed like every scene that they showed him, it was just him screaming into the camera. I was getting a bit, like I said, I was a bit over it by the end, but at least the action was fun, so it didn't really take me too far out of it, but yeah.
I'm with you on that.
It was a bit of an obnoxious performance there, and I was not expecting Ruby to be such a fixture in the rest of the movie. I was like, okay, a bit of an obnoxious character, kind of ambiguous, like sexuality, and then they kept it going for the next 30 minutes.
Ambiguous sexuality. He explicitly stated what his sexuality was. I've never felt like this before with a human. It was one of the best lines. The guy's a xenophile.
Well, it's ambiguous in the way that he's very flamboyant, but he also ate out that lady on the plane or whatever. And then, he also apparently makes love to aliens. It's a bit ambiguous.
Lover.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you mean. Okay, that's fair.
And we love our xenophile,
yeah.
homosexual, bisexual, straight man. We love it here.
Yeah. Love to see it. Taking the idea of pansexuality and cranking it up to
11,
some kind of number.
Oh,
yeah.
Just a throwback to Spinal Tap there, yeah.
The one good joke in Spinal Tap.
There was more than one.
Oh,
There were
what was the
two.
other one? Oh, okay.
Well, I'm sure there was one.
Look, I gave Spinal Tap a 5 out of 5. I will not be hearing any more slander for that movie on this episode. We already did enough on the episode that we talked about. It's my turn to be annoyed.
That's fair, Yemmy. I understand. Yeah.
Speaking of annoying,
what did y'all? Go ahead.
real quick, jumping back to costume design, the shaved back of the head for the one professor dude really annoyed me. It was just a strip of shaved head, and I understand that it was to connect to whatever that brain thing was connected to it, but I thought it looked dumb. There had to be a better way to style that. Like maybe shave from the point of insertion for that brain chip down instead of just making a straight line across. I don't know.
It is funny that you point that one out, because to me that wasn't even in the top 5 worst haircuts in this movie.
Yeah, it's the one that stood out to me above. Well, maybe not above, but right around the Gary Oldman style.
That young monk's. The young monk's hairstyle, the semi tonsure. Tonsure is the hairstyle that medieval monks shaved into their heads to make them less sexually attractive. Total failure. They're all hot stuff.
You are
But,
just
like,
a
the-
wealth of knowledge here. I
bowl
mean,
cut.
man,
Yeah.
I commend
Most
you
of it's
for it.
wrong.
Well, you know what? You say it convincingly, and that's all that matters. Yeah?
Yep. That's what gets you far in this life.
You could have said that the monk's hairstyle was the butt head, and I would have been like, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
The butt
Oh
head.
yeah.
That does track.
The butthead is a completely different medieval hairstyle.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we talk about Macbeth next time Topos is on.
I recommended Macbeth. Oh man, that's awesome! I'm glad I'm so good at recommending things. That's great. What did you all think of the acting? Apart from Chris Tucker's choices.
Yeah, it was fine.
It's fine.
Fine. Yeah.
It's fine.
I wasn't in love with the performances. I think Bruce Willis is just kind of being, the same character from Die Hard throughout most of it.
Yeah.
Mia Djokovic, like I said, just played a child essentially, which she did a good job of conveying that she, was a child brain. But
Yeah.
No,
Yemmy, really
I don't
quick.
mind it. That's fine.
Stepping outside of the bit here, do you know what that person's name is? Just checking.
Lebo,
Yeah, no.
Mia Djokovic,
It's Lilo.
Lilo. I thought it was
It's
Lebo.
Lee Lu.
Lee
Lee
Lu.
Lu multipass.
Even Tay didn't know it.
I don't know. Yeah, apparently.
And the actor's name who played her is Mila Jovovich.
I was
think.
close.
Yeah, Mia Jovovich.
You can't get on my case for that one. I said it pretty well.
I mean, the
For-
last name
for-
looks Icelandic, which could be yo whatever Yemmy said.
See?
It's Russian.
It's,
Oh,
just-
it's
it's my Ohio
looks
accent
Icelandic,
that's
too.
not allowing me to say the name correctly, okay?
Your
Your Ohio accent confuses V's and K's?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Okay.
It's only
I-
northeastern Ohio, okay? That's all I can say.
Got it.
I don't have it as
Got
bad
it.
because I'm not as far up north as Yemmy is, but
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
can
Yep.
confirm. Can confirm.
Yeah, it's all the salt water, or not the lake water coming off of Lake Erie.
Well, regardless, you've made some pretty funny joves about the name, so.
By Jove, I think he's got it.
Ew. Speaking of her
Um,
though, apparently she was supposed to dye her hair for the movie, but as they were trying to get it to the perfect shade, her hair started to fall out in clumps from the dye. So she had to switch to a wig 20 minutes in.
Wow.
did-
Okay.
I did say something about a wig. So.
Yeah.
So they chose on the wig to not have it dyed perfectly.
Basically.
And I
It's
think
the
wig
it's the
is
perfect human being, but there's a yellow strip going down the middle of her orange hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wig was a weird
Hey.
choice, or just the color was a weird choice.
It's sci-fi,
Like-
Tay,
It's a
orange,
weird movie.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Orange is the definition of sci-fi.
Mm-hmm. So we're taking, if I understand this correctly, we're taking a stance on this podcast that gingers are not perfect beings.
No,
You know-
they totally are.
No. Definitely are.
Now the problem is
It like it didn't even look like a natural orange. Like if they had done a natural orange, I would have been fine with it. But it was just this weird unnatural.
Hey, when you say natural orange, do you
Like
have
natural orange
a
hair?
picture that you can show me of a natural orange? Are we talking like carrot top, or are we talking?
Nah, just like a ginger color, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I just it goes back to the costume design. If you're gonna make a wig and you've been trying to get the actress's hair to be the perfect shade of orange, but it's falling out, why do you have a yellow strip down the middle of the hair? And if this is supposed to be the perfect bean, why is there like this, I don't know, defect down the middle too? Like it just clashes with the costume design.
perfectly imperfect.
Yeah. It was perfect. Even with the yellow was part of the perfection. As somebody who has lots of hair that's different colors all over the place, especially on the top of my head.
Hold on, my lie detector's going off here.
Well, that's weird.
Huh.
Huh, strange, weird, huh. Odd.
Wild.
To pull it back to the acting, there were scenes in here that I thought were really well done, where like there were a couple of looks of disgust where it's like they could have played that subtle and instead they chewed the scenery on it a little bit. That's, you know what, I would say that the aspects of this movie that I enjoyed the most were the fact that the scenery got chewed. Not just in acting, but like in costume design, in narrative, in like every part of it. They were like, we could go halfway here, but we're not going to. And that absolutely pulls you out sometimes. But other times, I think Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is where they did put limiters on it and only went halfway, and it wound up so much worse because of it. Whereas in this one, it's like, yeah, absolutely, that was a why on earth would you make all of those tubes coming out of her costume? The answer is because we couldn't get more on. Like, but the acting specifically, the like when Bruce Willis, Corbin Dallas, gets mugged at the start of the movie, and he takes that guy's gun, the guy does. He's like, I like your hat, and the guy does a little dance and like shimmies off screen. And like that was just nice. Like that was adorable. That made me like the movie more. And I was telling Tay that this movie has my very favorite hand gesture in all of cinema. And it's a crying shame that we're not that you don't edit these, because if you did, you could put in that clip and right here in the YouTube video as a treat for those who have sat and listened to the whole thing. I should probably say what scene it is, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Might
No,
need a bit more context, because I don't even remember a hand gesture.
It's just sitting in
Wait,
silence
is it during the opera?
No.
Oh, never mind.
There are a couple of good ones in there, but I do like that you're remembering specific hand gestures now.
Thank you. Feel honored.
I think the one that you're talking about is the one that the opera singer did in the hip hop part of the opera song.
Yep.
Where she like touched her hips, did a little dance. Yeah. No, I'm talking about the one at the very end of the movie where the scientist with the super cool haircut looked at the president and said, "They need 5 more minutes," while doing a fantastic hand gesture to indicate why they might need 5 more minutes.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I think I was kind of like checked out by that point.
Yeah.
I
Opera song was good though. That's some very high notes.
Mm-hmm.
Some high notes.
I disagree. The opera song was annoying, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It like turned into like that hip hop R&B thing.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
I don't know.
It lost me there.
It did lose me there too. I was like, oh,
But it started off some high notes.
You're telling me that people come from all around the universe to hear her sing this opera thing? Like, I don't know. Like, it wasn't like sure, the voice was impressive, but I mean the whole performance on itself, like she stood in the middle of the stage doing nothing else.
Yeah.
Except for a couple hand gestures. Like I'm not paying $10,000 for that.
Now you got to understand that in the year 2300, R&B is about as old as opera is right now. So that was classical music to them.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yep. That was like if in 300 years, somebody dressed as Pavarotti stood on a stage and belted out "They Not Like Us."
Well, and everyone still did the certified pedophile part. They don't know what it means, but they all said it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I want to live in your brain for a little bit, in the wonderful, wonderful imagination where
said
we've
not like us.
managed to eliminate, where we managed to eliminate pedophilia sometime in the next 300 years.
No, well, that is my dream. Thank you. I
It's a dream.
Well, I was just. It was more so like no one remembered what it was about. Like who remembers Drake? They remember that the Kendrick part, but they don't remember like why was he saying this? Who was Drake?
It's fair. Oh man, I hope.
But
that's
you
the
know what?
case.
Topos, the utopia where there's no more pedophilia, is also on my mind as well. So. Yeah.
You're like, was he talking about ancient file formats? What was?
A PDF file? What?
It's fun. Greedy, were there any other parts of this movie that were particularly heinous to you? Not the opera song, because the opera song, you and I are on the same page. The opera song was banging, certified banger,
Well, I wouldn't say banger. I just said it was nice.
a total bop.
It put
Top
Greedy to
10 all
sleep.
time.
He actually slept through the second half of the movie.
Listen,
Yeah.
if you go to his Spotify Wrapped,
Right. Fifth Element opera is number 2 on his list. Number 1
Yes.
being
Most repeated.
yeah.
I mean, no, not really. I mean, I don't know. Like within 20 minutes of the movie, I just like, all right, just bored, and then it just doesn't seem to pick up, throughout the movie. So
I think it's a rough watch for a lot of people because the comedy is kind of weird throughout the movie. Like there were some things that did make me laugh, like when the guy didn't get access to the space plane because 2 other people had already tried to use the same name to get on the flight. Like that was kind of funny, and then the phone booth explodes. And then later on when or maybe it was earlier when the aliens are getting their weapons and the one guy presses the button and he's like, well, we designed that button specifically for the people who want to press the red button, and it blows up. But the rest of the movie, I felt like the comedy landed a bit flat or didn't work within the scene. I don't know what y'all think, but those like there was like the 2 moments that I laughed, but the rest of the movie I was kind of like, okay, all right.
I don't recall laughing in the movie. So I guess I didn't pay that much attention to the jokes.
I mean, it wasn't a ton. Like there was some jokes for sure, but like it's more an action movie than anything.
Well, maybe I was perceiving things as jokes. Maybe it's just poorly written, because there was a lot of things that I felt like was told as a joke, or like it was like a bit of a joke. I just didn't laugh at it. Maybe I didn't laugh at it because it was not written as a joke, but maybe it was written as a joke and y'all didn't think that it was a joke.
Yeah, there were a lot of jokes in this movie. It was a comedy. It was an action comedy. I mean, Chris Tucker was in it. I don't know what to tell you, but like stuff like negative. I am a meat popsicle, or like Major. We'd love to hide. I'd love to help you, but there's simply no room in here. And he just smooshes them in, and then they pop out and they're frozen. Like there were moments, definitely moments that were like, okay, that was funny. But I also understand that like if you're not sort of similar to what's that movie? Vote for Pedro, Napoleon Dynamite, where if you're not like if you're not somehow prepped or in the mood or in the right headspace, that movie's dumb and boring. If you are on that vibe, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. Like it is weird to me that like this is, so it is a cult classic. People do like this movie a lot, me included. Usually the response is not that it was like with a lot of cult classics, the response is usually, oh, that was a bad movie, and then people enjoy it later on. The response is very unusually, movie was mediocre. It didn't really. It wasn't firing on all cylinders. It was fine. It wasn't great. And then a whole bunch of people really like it. You know, that is odd to me. That seems to be the consensus, is that it was fine but not great.
Yeah, when
Or maybe-
when I finished watching the movie, I just didn't understand the hype behind this, because this is one of those movies that I hear a lot about, or I heard a lot about before watching it, and I was like, oh, it's a sci-fi classic. Let's fucking go. So maybe I went into it with a bit too high of expectations, but I mean, it's not my fault that everyone is like raving about it that I ever talked to about the movie.
Maybe.
But
Maybe you just gotta watch
but
it.
I love sci-fi, and I went into this movie going, I hope I enjoy this. I wanted to enjoy the movie, but what ended up happening was I just had like you said, it was fine. Maybe a little bit above fine at times, maybe a little bit below fine at times. It was fine.
Yeah. Mediocre is an interesting takeaway for this, from what I can tell. Like, it's Tay and I, after the movie, we were like, well, it was a good time. I'm glad that we didn't watch Blade Runner, because neither one of us would have been conscious halfway through Blade Runner.
That's true.
And it's like, Blade Runner is absolutely one of the all-time classics. We've talked about it a couple of times already. But wait, has it been 40 minutes? I think it's been 40 minutes.
It's actually been
Maybe a little bit more
56,
than 40.
56.
Oh, dang it. We missed our that's fine. Wait, was Blade Runner the other movie we were supposed to?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh, it was? Okay, good. All right. Okay. But like, Blade Runner is absolutely fantastic, and also hard to watch because it's paced so slow. This one doesn't have that pacing problem. Well, it might. The first,
yeah.
as you said, the first half of it's pretty slow. But it's not considered even close to the same level as Blade Runner. I find that interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely put Blade Runner way high. I would gladly watch Blade Runner again over this. And when we talked about that movie on the podcast so long ago at this point, I think it's because it immerses you, at least for me, it immersed me into the world so well that I didn't really mind it being slow, and what it ended on was, I think, a lot more poignant and a lot better than what The Fifth Element ended on. So that's just why I put Blade Runner on a higher pedestal than The Fifth Element here.
I would agree with that.
I just felt like the ending of Fifth Element was just a bit tacky's not the right word, but it's kind of the vibe that it was kind of going for, where it used all the different elements of Earth, and then the final element was love, and I was kind of like laughing at the movie a little bit, because I was like, that's just kind of ridiculous.
The term is camp, right? This movie is campy. It's got like it's silly on purpose for like, in order to try and like kind of like that Rocky Horror Picture Show in some ways, where it's like, wow, that's silly and takes me out of it, but also like it adds to it in some ways. That being said, this isn't as campy as Rocky Horror Picture Show or a movie that's like intentionally trying to be like that, like Clue or whatever. Maybe what this movie really needed was what's his name? Curry?
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Yeah.
Maybe.
Because he was in
I mean,
Clue
every
Rocky.
movie needs Tim Curry. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman got most of the way there, but Tim Curry, I guess, would have pushed.
Oh no, we still need Gary Oldman. I think Tim Curry should have been the Bruce Willis character.
We could fix this movie. Hang on. Let him cook.
Yeah, I don't mind a campy movie, as we know from the history of this podcast, but when it's not working for me, it like a campy movie can be very much a drag. Because it tries to be. it just maybe it just tries a bit too hard. And
When
campy
a
movie,
campy
I feel like
movie isn't-
well, I feel like campy movies are more lax with the whole campiness of it. They kind of work it into the story a bit better. And I don't know, when you have a world destroying planet that can vaporize anything, I don't know. I don't know if it just the campiness I just felt like didn't really work. A,
It
preg-
is
also make
campy,
a
phone
pregnant
calls.
pause. That's always a worrying sign.
Yeah. The universe destroying planet can make phone calls. That's part of the camp. That's.
Yeah.
I think the difference is I think this one was like a try hard camp though.
Mm,
I think that kind of
got
takes
it.
away from it a little bit.
Okay.
That might just be a personal.
No, I
like,
agree.
why are you-
I agree.
Sort of like, why are you trying to be bad? You could try to be good instead, kind of deal.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, like
Mm.
maybe if they went fully into a more regular aesthetic, like a regular movie, maybe it might have turned out better. Or if they went fully into the campiness, could have been better. I don't know. It's all like hindsight 2020, you know. But I guess if it went harshly in one of those directions, I don't think it would have as big of a fan base as it does, or it wouldn't be a cult classic. It probably either would have been one of those forgotten movies that is, you know, just kind of slop, or maybe it could have ended up like Blade Runner as a sci-fi classic. But I mean, it's still I misspoke. It's still a sci-fi classic, sure, but maybe on the same level as Blade Runner. But once again, we don't really know what would have happened, and I feel like it probably would have gone the route of, if it did go heavily into one of those two angles, it probably would have went into the forgettable slop portion of the poll there.
I think you're right. I think that's an astute kind of like way to look at it. Because if we look at Valerian City of a Thousand Planets, that one was taking itself seriously. That was the zero camp version of this. Stuff like, same deal with like Jupiter Ascending or I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like,
He said it.
Stuff that's sort of just, huh?
He said it. Guardians of the Galaxy.
But on the other end of that spectrum is stuff that's just as weird, like Brazil, from like the guys who did one of the guys who did Monty Python, a sci-fi kind of cult classic, but like absolutely bizarre, very campy, very just weird, and very few people like, not very few people. I'm gonna get jumped on in the comments about that, but like that's not a movie that is regarded as one of the ones that it like as a sci-fi classic in the same way that other sci-fi classics are. So I don't know. Spaceballs is full camp.
Yes.
So they could have gone Spaceballs, or they could have gone Jupiter Ascending, and instead they tried to walk a line, and I don't know that it worked.
Well, I love both those movies. No, I'm kidding.
Jupiter Ascending. You give me a defense of Jupiter Ascending right now. Give me a defense of freaking roller skating. Roller skating.
I'll give you a defense right
werewolves.
now. Right now, the font that they used for the name of the movie. Good.
I would even push
what
back on
name?
that. Better than Avatar, I guess.
I was about to say another pregnant pause. The gears were turning.
Let me hang on. I'm going to look something up real quick. Jupiter.
I do love
Ascending.
Spaceballs, though. I that is not a lie. I
I do
love
too.
Spaceballs.
That's a wonderful movie.
This font? Really?
You know, I just kind of said it without looking at it, so I don't know.
So look, we can have a conversation about this. This is a font that it's possible to have a conversation about.
You're right. Now that I actually see it, it is a font that is definitely a style, and it's unlike anything that I've ever seen.
Yeah. I'm going to take that back. I agree with you. I think that they absolutely could have done a much worse job picking that particular font.
Thank
All right,
you.
now I gotta see.
It's a choice. Hey, at least it's not Comic Sans. Although that might have been funny.
it Avatar did papyrus, so
Impact font, top text, bottom text on Jupiter on the top, ascending on the bottom.
oh god, I would watch that movie.
Well, Tay, thoughts on the font?
I just got it up here. Hold on. Yeah, I mean that is
That is a font of all time.
it is a font. Yeah, like it's a unique font. I'll give them that. So
What are you guys looking at?
The font for the title of Jupiter Ascending. It's a serifed font.
Now we need
Jupiter
Greedy's opinion.
Yeah, we gotta have Greedy's opinion. Yeah.
got some dots involved.
Yeah, it's got some aesthetic
In-
dots.
in random places.
Ray, you
Right
better
in
be
the
looking this
middle
up
of the-
too. We need your opinion on the font of Jupiter
Oh,
Ascending.
sorry.
Everybody
Yeah.
listening, you better be looking up this font.
Even if
you're
you're driving.
driving, pull
Yeah.
out your phone right
Topos
now.
and I on the same brainwave right now. Kind of scary.
And which one? Like, what am I comparing it to?
just what your thoughts on the
Nothing.
font?
Yeah.
The thoughts.
Yeah, just your
The
thoughts
font
on-
for the movie title.
We ran out of things to talk about the fifth element. We're now on to the sixth element, the font for Jupiter Ascending.
She's
it reminds
indifferent.
me of
She's
like a book, like one of those cheap Dollar General spicy books that like
Yes. I
the
see it.
front cover has nothing to do with what's actually like in the book. That's the
Ascending.
vibe. It's giving the author tried.
At least
Jupiter
you
Ascending is
tried.
actually about two werewolves making love. And
Something about
Greedy, thoughts on the
bees
font?
there, too.
The really frustrating part, Yemmy, is that you're closer than you should be.
And we're just talking about the font for the movie title, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thoughts.
Yep, that's
Thoughts.
it. Yep.
I mean, it looks bold. Like,
Yes.
it's
The font.
it's
right?
something.
It exists.
I'm more distracted
what
by her
that is.
face. Like, what's with their face? Like, she's making that look? That's weird.
It's the most rectangle face they could find. Don't worry
I didn't
about
see anything about a face. Or, I didn't see that. I just saw the logo.
Her. You know what? Greedy's right. Her face looks a bit weird. It kind of looks like Tangled. Like they put the Tangled character over this person's face.
Yeah, I'm more distracted by that.
Am I going crazy here? She looks like a Disney character from this angle.
Which one are we looking at?
I'm just looking at the Amazon cover for the movie.
Okay.
I'm looking at the one that has like all
They're
all
all,
the
like, in-
characters.
Yeah, they're in like leather, black leather.
I don't see that picture.
No, one there's like the blue one. I mean, I just send it to you.
I do see this
But
other
no,
one though. She
either.
does have a very square face in this the IMDb
That one.
IMDb photo.
Oh, you're looking at the Fifth Element.
Yeah, that's the fifth element.
Okay.
We're talking about
Yeah,
Jupiter
her-
Ascending. Jupiter Ascending, Greedy.
Oh,
Although this
Yeah,
this is actually a nice drawing. It sums up the movie
like
pretty well.
Jupiter just-
Yeah.
This is a pretty
She does have a
kick-ass.
very square face though in this picture as
Yeah,
well. Hold on.
Yeah. The one that I'm looking at is her at like an angle,
Oh,
and she's looking towards
Okay,
the
that
camera.
font. Okay.
I'm
This
Yeah,
is
that font
totally-
is weird.
Totally impenetrable to any of our listeners who are not getting the pictures.
They can go to the Discord. They'll be posted by Yemmy later.
Maybe.
That sounds kind of high effort.
From the creators of the Matrix trilogy, where only one of those movies was actually good.
Yeah.
Matrix Reloaded had its moments.
You know,
There were some good moments, and yeah, I'll give you that. There are good moments.
all right, fine. There were some good moments. Well, it seems like we've hit our quota for off track for this episode. Is there anything else that anyone wants to say about the fifth element?
I think it would have probably been better if we had watched the first 4 elements first.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
I was a bit lost with the fifth movie here.
The only thing that I can say is that it is one of my favorite movies. I do really like the like all of the stuff that missed for Yemmy and Greedy and Ray and Tay. They kind of hit for me, and it might just be that, like, as it is so often with media that we watch in our lives, that the moment that I first saw it was a formative moment for me. That the context was right for me to set aside the difficulty in getting past the number of tubes coming out the blue opera singer's back was. But I did really enjoy it, and I like it on a rewatch, and I think that it has a message that I think that it has a message, and that's not something that you could say easily about a lot of other movies. It's like love defeats war. Okay, cheesy, campy, whatever, but it works for me.
Yeah,
That's what I gotta say.
I
about
would
the
say
Fifth
most
Element.
movies have a message. Like even Shrek has a message in there. You know, like I don't know about
That
See,
everyone
the way that you
forgot.
phrased- the way that you phrased that, Yemmy, was sort of disparaging to Shrek in some way. Like even Shrek has a message. Do you not like Shrek, Yemmy?
I love Shrek. Okay.
Then why are you saying, "Oh, this other really good movie also has a message"?
Well, because you were saying that there's not a lot of movies that have messages, but you dig into your pocket and you can pull out any movie that you've seen in the past like 5 years and be like, okay, Shrek has a message. Puss in Boots: Last Wish has a message. Jupiter
Tap?
Ascending
Yeah.
has a message. Is it good? Probably not, but it has a message.
Wait, have you seen Jupiter Ascending?
No.
Then you have no clue if it has a message or not. I
But-
have seen Jupiter Ascending, and I can tell you in no uncertain terms that movie doesn't have a message.
Oh no, there's a difference. Is it a bad message, or is it? That's the thing. It can still have a message, but be a bad movie or be a bad message. But it can still have a message.
The reason why that movie is bad is because it has no message. I guess I have to come back when we watch Jupiter Ascending.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it has a message of spirituality. I just Googled it right now.
Oh.
Is that
Sounds
your
like it.
recommendation for next?
Oh, absolutely not. Look, I'm willing to subject you folks to a lot of stuff. I am not willing to subject you folks to Jupiter Ascending.
You're not willing to object yourself to it again. That's really
I
what
would
it
be
comes
busy
down
that
to.
weekend is the thing.
Yeah, you'll suggest a movie and be like, I can't make it for the recording, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've got another plumbing problem. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Tay, you were saying stuff about the about the Fifth Element.
Was I? I don't think I was.
No?
Tay hasn't had much to say about the Fifth Element. Tay, did you even like the movie?
Yeah, I don't mind the movie.
Don't mind.
Mind, yeah.
We got another
It's
fence
fine.
here. See, it's fine. Yeah, I think I think most of us, except for Topos, think that it's fine.
Which somehow hurts more than everybody else hating it and me really liking it.
I feel for you. You know, this is one of your favorite movies. I feel for you. Unfortunately, though, it just didn't connect with me, and it seems like the other people here didn't really connect with. And I don't know if like watching this when I was a kid watching Star Wars, I don't know if I would have liked the movie then either. I don't know if my parents would have let me watch this movie too, but still, I don't know if it would have connected me with me then, and certainly not connecting with me now.
Yeah. I mean, so this is my second time seeing the movie, unlike the rest of you for your first. And yeah, like I don't know. There was times where I'm like, I think I remember like this, you know,
Like I still couldn't even remember like how everything connected. I'm like, so why is this like Elon Musk, like evil guy? Sorry, just Elon Musk. We don't need to add modifiers to that. Like, why is he here? What does he have to do with this? And then it comes out as like, oh, I guess he's talking on the phone to the evil planet. Okay, sure.
I mean, the alien raiders had more to do with the movie than Gary Oldman did, in all honesty.
True.
Am I lowering my score? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it where it's at. We'll keep where it's at. Speaking of,
Where's it at?
well, I'll let you know after Topos gives his final thoughts and rating of the movie.
My final thoughts are the not difficult to sum up necessarily, but I have been talking for a while, as I always do when I come on. I appreciate that I appreciate that you guys keep letting me on here, because I do tend to
Pontificate.
be a little bit pontificate, be a little bit overbearing. Pontificate's a good word. That's a good one, Ted. My final thoughts on this movie are that I really enjoy watching it. I am going to enjoy watching it again at some point. I do like the sets. I like the costume design. I like the fact that there were just some absolutely bizarre choices made in every part of this movie, in the narrative, in the costumes, in the sets, in the world building, like just stuff that makes you sit back and go, really? What? Why? I do wish that its director was less of a dillweed, and I do wish that the movie itself wasn't quite as misogynist as it is. We didn't talk about Bruce Willis's mother, or the fact that the women in this movie are either MacGuffins or Bruce Willis's mother. That's it.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the weak part of the movie, rather than like the whole thing being mediocre. I think that this movie is a solid 5 out of 5. I highly recommend that if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Maybe again, watch it 17 or 18 times so you can finally start to enjoy it like I do. But it is what it is. 5 out of 5 from me.
The fifth
Wow.
watch is the one that'll make it go 5 out of 5 for the fifth element.
It's true.
Yeah, I love that you're so passionate about this movie, and like I said, I feel for you, because if everyone here hated Grand Budapest Hotel, I would probably be kind of the same, like reacting the same way, where it's like, I don't understand or whatever. But I just wasn't into it, and from the get-go, I felt like the setup for it wasn't incredible, and it just didn't really grab me for most of the movie. And even when it did start to become more interesting for me, when things started to come together on that cruise ship thing, it still had its negative moments for me, like with Ruby screaming the entire time throughout the second half, or the ending of the movie I thought was just dumb. But we already talked about it. I don't want to rag on the movie forever, but there are some things I did like. I like the aesthetics. I didn't like the costume design, of course, but I did like the aesthetics of it. I thought that the sets were well done, and the vibe was there, like the grime of the city and stuff like that, as we talked about. But there's a lot of things that I'm either mixed on or just don't like about the movie. And I know I've been saying that the movie's fine, and it's kind of like a mediocre thing, but I think it's a little bit below average in my opinion. And I'm sticking with the 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Yemmy's been saying. It didn't grab me either. I was very, like I said, I was bored with it. Sorry, I'm glad, like Yemmy said, you're passionate about it, and I'm sorry that don't have the same feelings, but I was, like I said, bored. The costume designs were kind of bright in colors and was just off-putting. The acting was good. Good crew. The sound effects was good too. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
For me, I like the costume designs were a choice for sure. But they weren't like it didn't bug me as much. Besides Gary Oldman's stupid hat, that thing's always bugged me. I enjoyed it. I think it's a fun movie. There are some things that could be explained better, or I guess maybe it's just like an audio issue on our end when we watched it because of DVD. I don't know. Overall, like I said, I didn't hate it. It's not my favorite. I'll give it a 3 out of 3, or 3 out of 5.
3 out of 3.
3 out of 3.
Yeah, 3 out of 5.
It wasn't my favorite. It kind of gave me Fever Dream vibes in a couple scenes. Again, that could just be me, but all in all, I think I'll probably give it like a 2.5 out of 5.
Can you say that a little bit louder?
So sorry. Yeah, a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my cat moved my mic.
Cat's like, no, you cannot give that rating.
Exactly.
Well, Topos, I hope we didn't scare you away from recommending more movies for the podcast.
No, bro. No, I think that this is it would be the height of hubris for me to say something along the lines of like, "Brr, I can't believe you guys didn't like my movie." The wonderful thing about watching movies together and talking about them is that you do get different takes and different, like, it would have been a boring podcast if every single one of you would have been like, "Oh man," and then the super fun ridiculous hand gesture at the end. That's so great. Like, and to be fair, like, hey, the criticisms are valid. A lot of this stuff is really super subjective, and it, like, what hits for one person might not hit for another, and it does kind of suck that all 4 of you are wrong, but that's okay.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
No, I am joking. I do think that I'll absolutely recommend other movies. Like, I vibed with this. It is interesting to me that other folks didn't. But even more than that, it's interesting to me that even without, like, vibing with it, it's not, "Oh, I hated it, it was bad or dumb." It's that, like, it had its moments, but for the most part, it was just boring or mediocre or slightly below average. For the record, Yemmy, I don't know if math is your strong suit, but
No.
2.5 is not below average. 2.5 is the definition of average.
3 is average. 2.5 is below, just below. That's my scale, at least.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I guess it depends if you're starting from 1 or 0, huh?
I do start from 0. So I don't know if that makes sense. I've never rated a movie 0 though. The closest I
Yeah.
got was there was a movie called like 30 Meters Below Uncaged, and I was so close to just being like 0, but I gave it a 0.5. So I've never done it, but I could do it.
You're keeping it in the back pocket for the next recommendation.
Right? Yes.
I think that I do appreciate that you guys watched the movie and had some fun, interesting stuff to say about it. And I'm excited for the next podcast, which is going to be all about Jupiter Ascending's title.
Yes.
I don't think that we dug into it
Nice.
as deep as we needed to here. But yeah.
I will say I appreciate this movie for all that it inspired. Like, you can definitely see the inspiration for this movie spiderweb out from it. Like, there was a lot of people who were inspired by this and made their own stuff or went, built upon it. And you can say the same thing about
Like
Blade
what?
Runner 2. But like the aesthetic choices, the colorful future, you can see that a lot in a couple of different things. Like there's that carbon. Oh God, what's that show called? Well, it was one that was on Netflix that I watched. That was really good. It kind of had the same aesthetics as this movie, where it was very colorful, very neon oriented. But yeah,
Altered Carbon?
Yes, that's it. Altered Carbon. I love the book, so I watched the show, and the show is not as good, but I enjoyed it still. A rare occasion where Yemmy the Ferret read a book. I know, kind of crazy. But yeah, like I do have some appreciation for a lot of the sci-fi elements that bleed into from this movie that bleed into other works. So there's that at least.
Makes sense. That is true. It does seem like it had like other things have been inspired by it. I couldn't really pull one off the top of my head, but I do think you're right. A lot of this does seem sort of familiar. It's interesting.
Well, the soundtrack for sure reminded me of Mass Effect. Immediately as it started going on, I was like, oh, the punchy synth stuff and whatever was going on. Like I really felt Mass Effect there. But yeah, let's move on to the next part of the show. We got 3 things to talk about here. We talked about the movie. Now it's time to do our small recommendations, part of the podcast where we, maybe we're not going to recommend the movie for like a full episode, or maybe there's something we've been playing, or maybe just a life advice thing that we want to recommend to the audience. And does anyone have a small recommendation that they want to share?
So the new I think have mentioned this before, but the new season of Wheel of Time just started, and I'm recommending it again. If no one's watched it on Amazon Prime,
It's a really good show. Besides the last episode of
season 1, it's not great, but other than that, it's a really good show.
All right.
There was a lot of problems with the first season, production-wise, that screwed up the last episode, but
Well, you'd love to see it come back around.
yeah.
My small recommendation would be Wander Stop, the new game by the same creator as the Stanley Parable. But don't go into it expecting the Stanley Parable. Go into it expecting Wander Stop, a game where you make tea for various fantasy-inspired characters, and your character is dealing with kind of something that I think a lot of us deal with, where you start to become bad at something you love to do, and you kind of have to deal with the fact that you're aging and you're not going to be able to do that certain thing for the rest of your life. The thing that I can point to is I'm not as good at first-person shooters anymore. And I know it's like, oh, Yummy playing first-person shooters. I'm actually not as good at them anymore because I'm older and my brain works a little bit slower than it used to. And that's not obviously as intense as what the character goes through the game, but it did remind me of that. It was a very good story. Obviously, the writing was impeccable, especially for the random side characters that you meet. And the making tea process was very nice, very chill, and it was pretty intuitive. So I would
Very nice.
recommend Wander Stop.
Wander Stop.
I read something today that said take an hour a day, and it doesn't have to be like a whole hour, but take an hour a day to just do something random that you love to do. And I think I might start applying that to my days when I get home from work and like I'm trying to decompress, but I don't really know how. And I feel like coming up with something new every day will be kind of fun. So,
Nice.
What are you starting with?
that is a great question. I think tomorrow, this is going to sound weird because my version of fun is really dull. I am going to reorganize my office upstairs. I take
Oh,
it
hell
really
yeah.
chill.
You'll be stubbing your toe on your desk because you moved it now.
Right. And I'm never going to do this ever again. It was a terrible idea.
No, that's nice. That's a
No.
nice idea.
Yeah.
Keeping things fresh.
For sure. And like, I think I'll probably do like research on games or take an hour out to actually play something that I have that I've not been able to yet.
Oh, we're all there. The backlog is
Right.
immense.
Yeah, that's bad.
So, yeah.
Greedy, you were going to drop a recommendation, it sounded like.
His
No,
final
that's what
one.
you're gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have anything, unfortunately.
Nothing for
My
your
final
final
one.
one. Oh.
Wow.
Grady, I'm going to give mine. And while I'm giving mine, just sit there and think about it for a little. You can't go out on a blank, okay? I know that you're getting older and not as good at things as you used to be. I thought that was kind of rude of Yemmy to do something quite so pointed in
Yeah,
your
I
very
think I'm
final
so
episode.
pretty good at shooter games, so I don't know.
Okay.
I've seen you play with
I-
your pee-pee, and it's not bad.
With his what?
Look,
He's playing-
I'll co-sign that. Greedy is top of the leaderboard almost every game we play, and he uses his PP very effectively.
Yeah, it's all about the PP effect.
That's really why he's leaving.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I'm going pro.
going
Big
pro.
P
pro
energy
PP.
over here.
So
Going
I'd like
pro
to
in the
dedicate
PPs.
this trophy to my PP.
Pro
Um,
PP coming up.
I want to recommend Dairy Girls. It's a really it's a fun show about a group of absolute disaster teenagers living through the early 1990s in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. It is very funny and also difficult to understand at times, but my family comes from Ireland, and they're originally, and it speaks to me on a fundamental level at some points where you're like, oh, I wonder if I see that particular flavor of passive aggression appears to run deep in that in my bones. I also want to recommend Slice and Dice, which is just an absolutely phenomenal roguelike. If you're a fan of Slay the Spire or Dicey Dungeons, Slice and Dice is perhaps one of the best like strategy roguelike games that exists, like full stop. And I've just been dumping hours and hours into it when it's slow at work, which it never is. I'm super busy at work, in case my boss ever listens to this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Greedy? Are you sure? Are you real sure? You got nothing?
Drink water. There you go.
That's a good one.
Hell yeah.
Stay
That's good.
hydrated.
All right, time to move on to the final part of the show, where we say goodbye to Greedy. He's
so
been
young.
on the show since
Day
day
one.
one, which the original episode of the podcast, if I had thought this through a little bit, I would have
Demolition Man.
had it brought up. But yeah, Demolition Man, and that episode launched.
One. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. I can find it real fast here.
It's
November
April
22nd,
2015.
2019. November 22nd, 2019 was when the first episode launched, so it has been
Oh.
a very long time.
I didn't know
Wow.
we did this pre-COVID.
Yeah, it's 2019.
6 years.
Wow.
And
I don't remember doing this pre-COVID.
oh yeah.
Is that bad? Maybe I am getting old.
COVID was a blur, so I'll
True.
Yeah.
But I thought we would take a second just to reminisce about Greedy's time on the podcast. Tay and I will be the only original members left, which it's taken a while to do so. So we appreciate all the time that you've dedicated to the podcast, whether through watching the movies themselves, recording them with us, listening back if you ever listen back. Like, I do appreciate all the time that you've given to the podcast. It's awesome.
Appreciate the opportunity to come on and appreciate it's been fun.
Well, good. I'm glad we didn't
Hey.
leave a bad taste in your mouth.
And I'll be back. I'll be recommending movies.
That's right.
Like what?
I don't know yet. I had to
Another
think
thing.
through. I think
Greedy's first
Right.
movie recommendation was The Maze Runner from 2014, which we all enjoyed at the time. It wasn't a favorite, but the first 5 out of 5 that Greedy got from, I think, across the board was Snowpiercer, which is only episode 18. I believe Greedy was one of the
Wow.
first to get all 5 across the board, or at least close to it. So
let's go.
Well done.
now, I think Greedy already knows what we're gonna say. But favorite Greedy moments on the podcast, I have a few, obviously.
Oh, uh-oh.
One of my favorites is we did the Back to the Future trilogy watch. And at the beginning of the podcast, Greedy said that he did not like the third movie, but by the end of the episode, he was saying that he loved the third movie. And the reason why I like this movie so much is because I was actually able to go back and edit in, like, you know, I did a fun edit with it. It was just a funny moment. And of course there is the most infamous one where Greedy
That's my favorite. Don't
accidentally
take it.
okay, go take go take go.
Yeah,
My
go
favorite
take
is when Greedy watched the wrong movie.
Yep. Wasn't the wrong movie. It was the wrong version.
No,
or
no,
the
you-
wrong.
It was the wrong movie. You watched this. I believe you watched the second one
Mhm.
instead of Lilo and Stitch. You watched like
Yeah.
the whatever the second one's called. I don't think it's Lilo and Stitch 2. But
I
it's
didn't even know
something.
there was a second one.
Oh, there's actually like 5 Stitch
It's like
movies.
5 of them.
Lilo and Stitch movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
What
lot of
the
them.
hell? I'm behind.
You don't need to see him. Don't
wonder-
worry.
Really confused that they replaced Mila Jovovich with a tiny blue alien.
Yeah, it was confusing. I'll agree with that.
Okay, that joke was only funny if you remembered that the character's name in The Fifth Element was Lilu. I guess it
So
wasn't that
none
funny
of
then
us
either.
here.
Yeah, no, none of
Yeah,
us.
nobody remember. All right, okay. I'm sorry. All right, Greedy. Hang on. Just to be sure, Greedy. Do I have that right? You watched the wrong movie.
I watched the first Element.
Yeah. It was a great time. He starts talking, and we're like, "What are you talking about? that didn't happen." And it took us like 10 minutes to finally realize, oh, you watched the wrong movie.
Yeah.
I loved our huge debate after Jingle All the Way when we found out that what like he watched it,
Well, no,
he
there was
cut
an
it
after
off.
credit scene
Yeah,
the after
that none of
credit,
us
yeah.
saw but him.
Yeah, I guess the version that the rest of us watched was like Hulu or whatever, and they put the
Yeah.
after credits scene at the like very end of the movie before the credits.
Mhm.
And Greedy watched a version where the after credits scene was in the right place after the
Yeah.
credits, and it really was a confusing moment.
Yep, that was great.
Greedy, what was your favorite moment on the podcast?
Oh, jeez.
Suggesting Brightburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey,
Making
that's
Tay
a
suffer
long-running
through
joke.
Brightburn.
It's probably one of the oldest memes for the podcast. We got to mention Brightburn every episode.
Yeah.
Sure
We don't talk about the 1.5 anymore.
Well, that was a Lucy thing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stand by my favorite recommendation from you was Snowpiercer.
Okay.
But I mean there was a couple movies that I enjoyed from your
I
picks.
was about to say the Iron Giant. You know, like that one?
Yeah.
Iron Giant.
I wouldn't say that was my favorite that you picked, but I would probably watch. I like Snowpiercer more than Iron Giant, but I gave them both 5, so you can't say
Yeah.
I didn't like Iron
I
Giant.
really, I liked your Weekend at Bernie's. That was fun to finally get to watch that movie. Now I get all the references, pop culture references when they do a Weekend at Bernie's joke.
I think my favorite Greedy Waffles moment was when we were all telling him what our favorite Greedy Waffles moments were.
Ah,
That is a good
Good
movie.
one.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, next to Inglorious Bastards, I would say Snowpiercer, one of my favorites. And then I think the favorite conversation around a movie was The Day After Tomorrow. I felt like that conversation was so much fun, just like shitting on the movie
Yeah.
so much. But yeah, there's a lot of fun Greedy moments, and if you haven't been up to date with the episodes, maybe go back and watch a few that are Greedy picks. Usually they come after my picks, which starts the new set of movies. So there's a lot in here, though.
We're gonna miss him.
yes.
We are gonna.
We
miss
definitely
him.
will.
Did you announce who's replacing me?
Yeah, we did last episode.
Yeah, I'm about to say, did we? I couldn't
Yes,
remember. I don't want to say.
I'll say it again just for the people who maybe didn't watch that episode or whatever. But Callus is coming back. He's taking Greedy's spot. He was the first one that I thought of when Greedy said that he was leaving. I was like, oh, maybe I'll ask Callus if he wants to come back. And Callus said, yep, I would love to come back And don't worry, I've confirmed multiple times that he still wants to come back. So he will be back
Wait,
for the
hang on,
next
what-
episode.
Real quick,
So one-
I thought it was gonna be. I thought that's why I was. Is it not me? Is it? What?
No, I'm sorry, bud.
You know what? I'll make
Was
you
I
a
at least in,
promise.
like the top 2 picks.
Next person who leaves gets replaced with Topos, even if he doesn't want to do it.
Force them
Man,
against his will.
all our episodes are now going to be like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Oh, right in the heart.
All right, but yeah, Callus is coming back, and he's going to be taking Greedy's spot, so he'll be having the second place pick for movies,
Yeah.
and we'll see how long season 4 lasts.
I let him take that spot instead of moving up myself.
That's right. Tay was
It's
very
true.
humble for doing that.
Wow. An icon.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody noticed.
So
So,
when Callus leaves again, I will come back, right?
well, I already gave the spot to Topos, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But when Topos
Okay.
leaves,
Mhm.
Yeah. When Topos is ejected bodily from the podcast.
Yeah, I press the button
Yeah.
on my keyboard, and it launches you out of your chair. He's done. Well,
it doesn't come through on the microphone, but it is incredibly funny when it happens.
yeah, it's just a little something for us, you know. Like,
Just
So-
like the Jupiter Ascending font.
right? Yes, I'm gonna download that font for Photoshop, and I'm gonna send every message to you in that font from now on. That would be a lot of work, actually. I don't want to do that.
All of your messages have to only include letters in the word Jupiter Ascending.
I'm sure there's a Photoshop font you can download that does the aesthetic.
If that's the case, you do have to tell me what other letters contain the random dot.
I'm gonna guess O.
oh yeah, O's definitely got to have one.
Yeah. O.
If it doesn't, the creator of that font is just let us down.
He's out of his mind,
I think that you're
or their mind.
I think that you're wrong. If O had one, D would have one. But D doesn't have one.
D's a slimmer letter, though. The
Hmm.
dot in the middle wouldn't make sense.
Okay.
How
What
do
a
we
note
get
to
back
have
on this? We need the no more Jupiter Ascending. I'm putting my foot down. All right, it's time for me to recommend a movie, and I did want to recommend one that I thought that Callus would enjoy as a little welcome back gift to him. There was 3 movies that I had never seen before, and I decided to ask him what genre of movie he would want to watch out of the 3
Karate?
movies.
Is it
So
a karate movie?
I gave him martial arts, spy / undercover thriller, and western. And Callus said that he loves all 3 of those, and I was like, I know you do. And he went with the spy thriller / undercover kind of movie. So the one movie that
You went with Cowboys versus Aliens.
no. So the one movie that I've never seen before that a lot of people rave about and say
Jackie
is really
Chan's
good
The Suit.
is called Deep Cover from 1992, directed by Bill Duke. This is about a black police officer named Russell Stevens who applies for a special anti-drug squad which targets the highest boss of cocaine delivery to L.A., the Colombian foreign minister's nephew. Russell works his way up from the bottom undercover until he reaches the boss. And this stars Lawrence Fishburne, Jeff Goldblum, Victoria Dillard, Gregory Sierra, Clarence Williams III, and many more. This is one of those ones that I was recommended on actually Letterboxd because it was like, if you like The Fugitive, you'll like this one, and I love The Fugitive, so I thought, might as well put it on my watch list. And it does have pretty high ratings on Letterboxd and IMDb, so I have high hopes for this one. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good one to cover for Callus's first movie back, since he do be liking his Mission Impossible undercover spy thriller type movies. So Deep Cover from 1992. We're keeping it in the 90s. We're on a
Yeah.
90s kick.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I hope that's a fun watch. And thank you once again for having me on. And goodbye, Greedy.
Goodbye.
Bye, Grady.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on, Topos. We love your takes, and we love your long-winded answers to questions. That's genuine, not sarcastic. And we would love to have you back on eventually. So if you do have another movie recommendation, just let Tay know. And
Oh, he does.
Listen it over.
I already know what it is.
oh, here. Oh, do you not announce it right now? I'll put it on the list right now.
The Adventures of Tintin.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is that
The-
true,
the-
Topos? I'm just gotta confirm.
The thing about that movie is that it is absolutely one that we can talk about.
All right. No,
That movie is going to generate a lot of conversation. I do not know if it's going to get any fives, but it's going to be a ride of a podcast, that's for sure.
Well,
All right.
you'll have to start early that time. Start on the Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I added it to the list, and it will show up eventually in the fan votes. All right, well, that is the end of the episode. Greedy, is there anything else you'd like to say before we close the book on this season of the podcast?
Yeah, don't forget to clean your ass.
Yay.
Classic.
Yay.
And wash your feet.
And wash your
That's the new
feet.
one.
hands.
All right, well,
Aw.
I am Yemmy the Ferret, and for the last time, I'm here
I
with...
am. Oh, Grady Waffles.
Hey, Mason.
Great positivity.
Topos Logic.
And this has been another episode of Film Freaks with a Z. Thank you for listening. Don't forget your multi-pass. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.